Today at the conference I talked about the perception of psychological safety and positive action, and whether the perception of psychological safety affected the ability of women to access positive action, and in particular whether recent headlines have affected the ability to access positive action. So after interviewing 33 women from 14 different fire and rescue services in a focus group type setting, we were able to establish 4 themes that were particularly important to the perception of psychological safety and therefore the ability to access positive action. The first of those was around the presence of role models. The second was around support. The third, a sense of belonging. And the fourth, the behaviours of others around. So in relation to role models, what became clear is that it was important for potential applicants to firefighting roles and to new firefighters who identified as female, that there were in their processes women who were visibly present. So that whole concept that we have talked about before around if you can see it, you can be it. So for female applicants and for new female firefighters, the presence of visible female role models, whether they were operational or non-operational, was important in their decision about whether to continue their application. In relation to support, some of the support that was described as most beneficial related to fitness. So for example, fitness days which were specifically for women. It was important to those who I interviewed that that was not to the detriment of any other identified group. And whilst fitness was the primary aim, it was also clear that there were supplementary benefits to those fitness sessions, and that included the building of connection, the building of familiarity, and that all links to the concept of social identity, the need to belong. So we've talked then about role models and we've talked about support. Let's then move on to behaviours. So overall, the research found that the participants of the research were feeling psychologically safe in their services or in their applications. We know that other headlines exist, and of course it's not everybody's lived experience, and it's important that we honour that and that we don't skip over it. But for our participants, psychological safety was there. They described both positive and negative behaviours. So in the positive, feeling overwhelmed with support from their watches or their potential new stations. That was extremely positive. Less positively, there was description of dinosaurs being on the way out, those people being in the minority, and the group self-regulating around that. Clear that those people were in the minority for our participants. And so of course we'll talk about recommendations later, but we must take action on that. The final theme then was around belonging. So most participants had no prior connection with UK Fire and Rescue Services, and we all have a basic human need to belong. You will, I will. That's very normal, and that sense of belonging was enhanced when there were networking and connection opportunities, and particularly mentioned on numerous occasions was the benefit of women's networks in fire and rescue services and their role in recruitment and selection activity. So 4 themes: role models, behaviours, belonging and support, all equally weighted, all equally important, and all with clear recommendations attached to them. Recommendations or insights, however one chooses to interpret the research. During the research, as it became clear that most women I interviewed did feel psychologically safe and were experiencing positive behaviours, I was surprised. Many of our recent headlines have been about those with less positive experiences, and we must honour those and we must take action on those. But I think this research offered some balance to those more negative experiences, and I was surprised to hear how, in the main, our women felt overwhelmingly well supported, either as applicants or as new recruits. and the range of things that had led to them feeling that way. I think it is important to share knowledge and research at conference because when we collaborate, when we are inclusive in our sharing, we can achieve more. My simply having conducted the research under the supervision of the University of Essex would mean nothing if I couldn't share it more widely and give others the opportunity to potentially adopt some of the insights. So I would like to thank AFSA for allowing me to present the research to a wide range of services. And of course, then I'll leave it there for others to choose whether they would like to take any of it forward. AFSA are enormously important in bringing services together in a way that feels inclusive and allows for challenge. We must encourage challenge amongst each other. We must never accept the status quo. So I believe AFSA play a valuable role in doing that and amplifying the voices of those who may be less well heard. Aspiring to be outstanding for me means that we are each individually contributing of our best, and that is, as leaders in our services, that we are adopting a mentality that means we are here to serve. We lead to serve, and we lead to serve our communities, and we lead to serve our employees. So when we aspire to be outstanding, we do those things well. We lead in a way that allows others to flourish and allows us to serve all of our communities.